Yeah.
Good evening. Am I audible?
Yes. Hi, Arun.
Hello, ma'am.
Good evening. Sridhar, you can make Atun as the co-host. Oh, you did already. Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sridhar. Atun, do you have slides? You're muted.
No, I don't have slides, but I do have Excel sheets.
Okay. Basically, you'll be sharing screen.
Yes, I have to.
Okay, perfect.
So just a quick question.
Hmm.
This audience, are they all undergraduate students? Because I have to modulate my lecture accordingly. So I want to know what is the level they are at, whether their first year students are also present in this forum or only final year students or master students are also there. If you could just give me some idea about it.
All undergraduate.
All
First year
undergraduate?
to final year.
Okay, so I'll try to keep it as generic and as basic as possible. I don't want to discuss any advanced stuffs here.
Yeah, and there may be a handful, like 3 to 4 alumni who have graduated but who really wanted to attend the entire series.
Right.
And they are likely to be there in all these sessions.
That's really good.
But that's okay. But yeah, I mean, we will consider all undergraduate students as our primary audience.
Right.
There's going to be a significant number of freshers, the first years.
My goodness, they're going to make my job difficult. But yeah, I love challenges. So let's see. I'll try to keep it as simple and as basic as possible.
Yeah, you can treat them well and they will reciprocate.
My wife used to tell me, that I am a horrible teacher for this newbies and
You're being
for
recorded.
junior
You
guys.
know that. You're on record.
Yeah, she actually made it on record last time when we both went to NIT Kurukshetra. So she told it on record that you are a horrible teacher for early age students or school children. Basically, you're fit for master students and higher. So I said, okay, I took it as a compliment, but basically she was trying to say that I'm horrible as a teacher.
No, but I have seen you in action at Anurag. And it was not a momentary witness. It was a full 3 day of action that I witnessed you with. And I know you're good. I know you give
Thank
the
you.
exact
Thank you for showing
time.
your confidence on me. I
Oh,
hope
yes,
students
yes.
also
I
will
mean,
feel good about it.
I'm sticking with you all along, and I know this session is going to be extremely beneficial. And I can already see some familiar students, in the sense that, there are mostly freshers who don't know me and I don't know them. But then I can see.
That's a misconception, ma'am. Everybody knows you. You might not be knowing them.
No, the freshers may not know me. But they'll know me soon. Yeah.
You are indeed a celebrity in student community.
Revant, if you're smiling, you can show your camera. It's okay. It's good to see smiling faces. Kirtana is there. Yeah. Thanks, Sridhar, for your confidence. Sridhar is the backbone to IUC Foundation.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hi, Sridhar. Good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So we have about 141 students, and the numbers increasing. We have gone
44
beyond
and counting
7
now.
p.m. So let's stick to time and let me begin. So we'll start now. A big welcome to all the students, irrespective of whether they are freshers. No one's going to rag you here. We are not going to make fun of the new joinees to undergraduate world of undergraduate engineering students. In fact, we welcome you with full, with open arms and open heart. We know we are going to be together for the next 3 to 4 years. We have another group of students who have been with IUC, who are familiar with what IUC does and how IUC operates. All in all, a big welcome to all of you. Few ground rules before we begin the sessions. If you are in this session, please attend it with full focus and concentration. Do not just hang around for the sake of a certificate. Certificate will happen whether you get the certificate or not. What's more important is the session, the learning, the takeaway. And I would rather that you focus on the takeaways than the certificate. So please be there, fully present, mindful for the next 1 hour. You will not regret this 1 hour of investment. That's my promise to you. We have a wonderful mentor, Dr. Atul Roy Chaudhary, with us. And just to let you know about his background, he's quite a celebrated background, in fact, and it's important that you all know what he has done till now. He's currently working for Cube Bioenergy. He has, so let me just read it out. He's an accomplished professional, currently serving as Assistant General Manager at Cube Bioenergy, settled in Hyderabad for now. With a distinguished career spanning esteemed organizations, he's widely recognized as a leading researcher. And none of this is made up, mind you. These are all true things, okay? Leading researcher specializing in waste management and water sanitation. And I've heard him. The things he tell you are just eye-opening, mind-opening. With numerous publications and extensive experience guiding dissertations, Atul enjoys a stellar reputation within the research community. He is truly a sought-after author, speaker, editor, and reviewer for the international scientific platforms. His exceptional contributions have earned him prestigious titles and awards, including a gold medal from the University Grant Commission, UGC. Atul's expertise extends to environmental auditing and quality management. His groundbreaking work on microbial waste digestion has garnered global acclaim, being listed in reputable records and endorsed by the United Nations. He's there on LinkedIn, you can find him, but do that later. For now, just focus on what he's about to tell you. I'm handing it over to Atul now.
Yeah. Good evening once again, everybody. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this wonderful introduction. I hope I can justify my session to this introduction that you have provided just now. So moving forward, as because I have been given an idea that students from all across 4 years of engineering background. They are present here in this forum. So I'll try to keep it as generic as possible. And today we are going to talk about the project planning. So when I talk to you about a project, when I actually utter this word project, what exactly comes in your mind at first? So project is a scheduled operation that takes care, that actually happens under supervision of experienced professionals. Generally, that's how we define a project in industrial community. But if you talk about a project, if you talk about a college project, project could be of any type, right? It could be a college project, it could be your final year BTech thesis work, dissertation project work, it could be any industrial project, it could be, let's say, for a contractor, civil contractor, it could be a road construction project, it could be a building construction project, it could be a dam construction project, anything which is a time-oriented activity, which has a schedule to be followed, which has a certain path to achieve some goal or objective, is a project. So let's say you have been this, I want to make it as relatable as possible for everybody. So as because you all are students, so probably let me start the session with giving you an example of assignments. So let's say you have been given an assignment to write an essay on engineering education and how AI is disrupting in today's date. How AI has intruded or interfered with the engineering education and its quality in today's date. So if you need to start writing an assignment about it, automatically what you need to do first of all is you need to understand the background of the whole thing. First of all, you need to understand what is engineering education. So secondly, you need to understand what is AI, what is artificial intelligence, what is machine learning. So without understanding the core component of the particular objective, you won't be able to fabricate what is your objective. So this is what the fundamental idea is. So first of all, before start writing or before start working on anything, you need to understand the whole gamut of the work area. And in order to do so, you need to build up certain sort of expertise on that area. Expertise building up in the sense, first of all, you try to identify what my way is, what I follow is. Let's say I have been given a project and I need to start working on that completely out of scratch, completely out of blue. I don't have any idea on that. So what I'll do is, first of all, I'll study the title of the project, what has been assigned to me. And from that title, I'll try to find out what are all the keywords or key, coined words, probably you can say keywords. Generally in industrial outside, we use keywords. So keywords mean these are the words which actually comes together to coin your overall title. So that means, for an example, let's say biomining of legacy waste. So when I talk about biomining of legacy waste, probably this is the first time you're going to hear this particular title or terminology. But when I talk about this particular title, if you try to break down the title, this breaking down will happen in terms of keywords. So biomining is a keyword. Probably this is the first time you have come across this word. You don't know what is biomining, but biomining is a keyword. So now you need to find out what is the meaning of this term called biomining. Second is legacy waste. What is legacy waste, first of all now? So we all are aware of waste. Waste is something which does not have value to its current user. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't have a value to anybody else. That's what I generally say to everybody. So waste, in my word, I call it a misplaced resource. A misplaced resource. That means, let's say right now you're a teenager, for an example, first year and second year students, probably you guys would be a teenager. So during teenage, when we grow up, automatically the physical dimension of our body, that also actually gets grown up, right? We actually gets bigger in size physically. So the clothes that actually were fitting up to your physical dimension some 2 years back, probably they won't fit you anymore. So that means you don't have a requirement to those clothes anymore. And those clothes become waste to you as because they are not fitting your physical dimensions anymore. But in case, if you have a younger sibling, then there's a certain possibility those clothes, they might fit your younger sibling or somebody else known to you, any of your relatives or somebody else in the community. So that means the thing that is waste to you, probably that means, probably that could be a resource or that could be wealth to the other person, to your younger sibling or to somebody else to whom it might fit in. So this is what the waste is. So now with waste, we know all, the basic idea what waste is, right? Also, there are certain synonyms like, trash, garbage. Basically, they all have their significant meanings. I'm not going to go into that. But again, end of the day, when I talk about coining the keywords, this is very, very important. You need to understand in your title, in the project assigned to you, what are the keywords you're trying to find out. So here, when I talked about biomining of legacy waste, the keyword is biomining, followed by the second keyword is legacy waste. So first, what I'll do is I'll start understanding about biomining. I'll start understanding about legacy waste. How will I do that? There are certain, repositories available at today's date, including encyclopedia, Wikipedia, certain trusted web sources like, Science Direct is there in terms of research as a research source. And then if you keep on adding, Google search is generally everybody we are familiar of. And then in addition to top of it, AI is also there. ChatGPT is there, we all are aware of. So when you start understanding any subject in a deeper way, automatically you will start developing a knowledge about it. So when I search biomining, automatically all this platforms like Science Direct will give me a certain kind of perspective towards it, which is more research oriented outcome. ChatGPT will give me more of a generic outcome, that what biomining is. It will try to define it. If you Google search, automatically there will be some lakhs of results about biomining. It will talk about the projects that are ongoing right now, the projects which are actually uploaded by central government or by other agencies. So it will give you a wholesome idea of what exactly is happening around the world in terms of biomining. Not only the scientific idea, what is biomining, it will give you the wholesome idea in terms of what are the projects which are ongoing, what are the projects which are upcoming, in terms of tendering, e-tendering, which are the tenders right now active in nature. So you will get a whole sort of gamut full of idea when you Google search. So from that, screening down the information and collecting the necessary piece of information in order to enrich yourself with that particular knowledge, that is very, very important. And how exactly will that happen? That will happen when you start reading more and more, and when you start to understand the concept in a more deeper sense. And probably your mentors, your teachers, they can help you understand the fundamentals of this particular thing, and they can help you to further screen down the information. That's how the overall things work. Okay, so now coining the keywords, that's very important. Understanding the keywords before getting into any project planning, and until and unless you become master of the subject, at least some sort of basic level of understanding if you don't develop, it's impossible that you can do a project planning. So we have started by talking about assignment writing. So assignment writing, when you need to start writing the assignment, the first and foremost thing what you need to do is, first of all, understand the task assigned to you. So we have started by talking about engineering education and how the AI has interfered with the engineering education. So first of all, you need to understand what is engineering education, as I told earlier. And then second is, what exactly is AI and how exactly they are interconnected. So when you start reading about both the things, so you can start correlating. So if you see a thoughtful mind, how exactly a thoughtful mind and the normal mind, how exactly they are different. So a normal mind, there will be dots. So these dots are nothing but the piece of information that is available online, that is available across the globe, available across the web interface. So let's say when you search on Google, when you search on ChatGPT, when you search on Science Direct, you will read multiple information, you will read multiple lessons about it, right? So those are like dots that will actually get stored into your mind, that will get stored into your brain. But when you start correlating these dots, how exactly engineering education is connected to AI, so then you start correlating the dots. There is a dot about engineering education, there is another dot about AI. But when you start connecting both the dots, then actually the progressive thinking comes in. Then actually the progressive thinking comes in into the picture, and then the overall circle gets completed. In terms of project designing and production management also, this is very important. So there is a concept called circular economy. I don't know how many people, as because you are from first year background, how many of you are aware of. So there are two concepts available in the same regard. One is called cradle to grave economy. The other one is called cradle to cradle economy. So what is cradle to grave and cradle to cradle? So now we all know about single-use plastics, right? We have heard about single-use plastics. Government has incurred a ban over it, that single-use plastics cannot be produced anymore, but that's completely a wrong idea. So government has imposed a ban on whatever the number or quantity of single-use plastic you're producing in terms of metric tons or in terms of volume, the same amount you need to recycle. That means your overall footprint of producing single-use plastic should be zero. So let's say you are producing 1 ton of single-use plastic for your manufacturing related requirement throughout the year. So by the end of the year, through your EPR activity, what is EPR here? EPR stands for Extended Producer's Responsibility. So let's say a detergent powder. So Tide is very famous detergent powder, right? We often use it at our home, Surf Excel, Tide, all these detergent powders. So these detergent powders, they come in some sort of plastic packaging, right? So this plastic packaging, automatically they will use virgin plastic materials. Previously, they used to use virgin plastic materials. So polymer is nothing but an outcome from the fossil fuel, carbon-carbon triple bond, right? So once you use this particular packaging product for storing your detergent, what will happen after that? Once the detergent is fully consumed, we used to throw up the plastics. But what will happen to that plastic bag? That is, if it is actually left untreated, it is going to stay within the Earth's surface for millions of years. Plastic is non-destructible through the biological activities, because carbon-carbon triple bond does not get disrupted on its own until and unless we heat it at a certain temperature and we bring down the carbon-carbon triple bond to double bond stage. So this particular philosophy is called pyrolysis. At pyrolysis, we actually heat up any certain plastic at a temperature of 500 to 900 degrees Celsius temperature, and in absence or partial presence of oxygen, and that triple bond gets breakdown, triple bond gets converted into double bond. And that's how plastic becomes biodegradable and plastic gets converted into fuel, fossil fuel once again. So this is something like a circular economy. So pyrolysis is one process where fossil fuel converted into plastic, plastic once again reconverted into fossil fuel. So this dot is connected. So this is called a circular economy, where you have actually facilitated from one point, you have started from one point, and then once again, you got back to the same point, right? So this is called a circular economy. So this detergent powder example, what I've been given previously. So this poly bag, when you have thrown it off, what will happen? It will stay in the earth crust without any destruction. But when you recycle the plastic once again, there's a machine called extruder. Before that, the plastic bag needs to be washed off, and then after that, agglomeration is there is a problem. You have to shred it, you have to agglomerize it, and after extrusion, that same polymer bag, it will be converted into plastic granules. And this plastic granules, once again, what will happen if you melt it? It can be reconverted into plastic bag once again. So this is once again another dot getting converted into the same dot. So this is called circular economy, where the product is not thrown off after the usage, after the post completion of the lifespan as it was intended for. The bag was manufactured as a detergent packaging material. That was the intended use. But once the intended use got over, once the detergent consumption got over, once again it was reconverted through recycling process into plastic bag, right? So this is called a circular economy. And any sort of project planning, whatever at today's date you are doing, that you are doing for three primary reasons. The first and foremost reason is the planning should be in terms of circularity. That means whatever the project you are planning, it should be cradle to cradle, not cradle to grave. Grave is something associated with corpuses, right? When somebody gets, somebody completes his or her lifespan, then we say that the person ended up in grave. So when the product also finishes its lifespan in terms of its initial intended use, then we say the product has been thrown into grave. But cradle means the initial manufacturing. So cradle to grave is not the solution, because that will only contribute in terms of waste. When the overall life cycle gets once again reassured and it gets converted into the primary form, then it's called cradle to cradle. So that means once again it got back, or once again it is recycled back or recovered back in the form of the same product. right? So this, whenever you're planning for any project, this is very, very important to understand. Your project is circular in nature, your project is economic in nature, and third and foremost important thing is your project is as minimum carbon producing as minimum as carbon footprint as possible. Okay, so how to understand all these things whenever you're planning anything? I'll give you live examples of projects that I've planned previously. There are tools, certain tools like Primavera you can use, but I'm not going to go into that, to be very honest. I'll show simple Excel sheets today. Okay. In order to show you that how exactly this project planning works, what are the components, how exactly to move about it, what is the profit and loss statement, what is my net cash flow, what is EBITDA, so that you can have some basic idea what is the operational management, how exactly the things move, how exactly the operation and finance move hands in hand. Okay, so now in chat box I'm getting a few questions. I'll just have a look at it. So please focus right here. Till project planning related to CS branch also. Okay, CS branch, okay, I'll get back to it. Project planning related to CS branch, ECE branch, okay. Plastic eating fungus also. Okay, those are like experimental stuff, plastic eating fungus and all these things. So probably this is not the right time to discuss those things. EC and the circular economy is about to entire product life cycle on electronic product manufacturing. Okay. So I'll take the questions. I think probably it would be wiser to take the question once at last, at the end of the session. Probably we can start that particular thing from 7:50 or 7:45, something like that. So now let's get into, I'll start sharing my screen. Just give me a moment.
Yeah.
Is it visible to everybody? Is my screen visible?
Yeah, we can see your screen and there was a file and now we see a file manager. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we see a file.
So here I have projected a case study of operation summary. I'll try to make it pretty simple. This one is pretty hectic. Yeah. So here you can see, first of all, I have talked about the location. So this is a classic example of one of the projects that I have actually previously dealt with. Okay. So first of all, this is a legacy waste management project. You need to understand the nature of the project that we are dealing in with, right? So the nature of the project is waste management, as because this is my core area of expertise. So I'm showcasing you an example of waste management. So here, this is the location. And before getting into any project, first of all, you need to understand what are the requirements of that particular project. So before getting into this file, probably it would be wiser if I give you a tour of the other file of project plan. Yeah. So this Gantt chart, is it visible to everybody?
Yeah.
So this is the primary and foremost important phase of any project planning. First, you have to prepare a Gantt chart. After understanding that what are the what is the background of your project, what we have started discussing with, right? When you start any new project, first of all, you need to develop the core expertise of that project, and then you have to understand the objectives. Once you understand the objectives, you have to further subdivide that broad objective. Let's say the overall objective should not be more than 3 to 4. In case of any construction project, let's say you need to construct a 2-story building. So in that case, what are going to be the objective? First of all, timely construction. Second is quality of the construction. Third is, if you're constructing for somebody else, the bill clearance, right? The fourth is you need to invest, right? So your investment plan. So if I try to put all these 4 objectives in a sequential manner, first is prepare your finances. That means you have to put your cost upfront. You have to invest in buying the raw material from somebody, right? For constructing a house, you need to buy cement, you need to buy stone, you need to buy fine aggregate, which is the sand part. you need to buy the other components, and then once you are ready with the raw material, you need to hire the manpower, right? You need to hire the laborers, you need to hire the masons, you need to hire the engineers. Then they will come and start preparing the design. Design making is the further objective. Once the design is ready, then you need to go for your design element understanding. Design element in the sense, when you go into core civil, there are structural drawing. You have to prepare the structural drawing, that one, what kind of reinforcement we will use, what kind of grade of concrete we will use, what is going to be the diameter of the reinforcement bars that we are going to use. So these are the kind of structural details you have to prepare. Then once that is ready, once that is provided by your engineering team, then your operation team, which is going to work on the side, the operation engineers, they will come into the picture. They will take the lead from the engineering team and they will start executing the project at the site, and they will pass on this particular information in a more generic and more simpler way to the laborers and masons, right? So this project, these are further, if you see, initially I told there are 4 objectives. The first and foremost objective was to prepare the make the finances available, prepare the designs, discuss about the timelines, and then start working, and then get the payment done. Here, if you, in the second phase, when I've talked about the initial objectives, I have further broke it down into multiple subparts. So I've talked about the structural design. I've talked about how operation team will take become what should I say? They will take charge of the things from the design team once the design elements are over, and then from operation team, the further information will be passed on to the laborers and masons. So all these dots needs to be connected through a proper manner. When you do that, automatically your planning becomes stronger. And when your planning becomes stronger, automatically there's a high possibility that you will succeed in your project. Because when we are planning anything from any industry perspective, it is highly important to make your project economically feasible. For economic feasibility and quality assurance, what you need to do is, first and foremost thing, to understand where actually you can curtail down your cost. That will come with the sense of broader understanding, deeper understanding of the subject matter. When you start understanding the things in a more deeper sense, automatically you will narrow down the project into many more objectives. When you have actually narrowed down the projects into many objectives, automatically what will happen? When you know, let's say you have one work to do, you need to construct a single building, but now you have actually phased out the overall work into hundreds of different segments, hundred of different small components, like found construction. First of all, the excavation part. Then after excavation, second thing, what you will do, post excavation, you will go for the construction of the foundation. Once the foundation is ready, what you will do, you will go for the superstructure construction. In superstructure, there are many elements, like brickwork is there. You have to prepare the columns and lintel beams. So first of all, that RCC works will come in, then the brick work will come in, then your the shattering work will take place. Then you have to do all ornamental work, like fixing your grills and all these things, doors and windows, right? Then the brickwork will come. Once the brickwork gets finished, what you need to do is you have to cover it up with the cement mortar. You have to finish up the brickwork with the application of the cement mortar layer. Then the painting will come. Then the cosmetic works, like POP works, the ornamental designs and all these things will come. Then electrical fittings will come into the picture. So now constructing a building was my primary objective. Now I have actually further broke it down into hundreds of different segments. How did I do that? Because I have developed the basic understanding how to construct a building, what are the core components of it. So somebody has asked, give us an idea about how to do a project planning in terms of ECE. See, I am not from a ECE background, but if you ask me, let's say you need to develop a mobile device, for an example, telecommunication device, right? So for constructing a mobile device, the first and foremost thing what you need to do is to understand what are the components of manufacturing a mobile phone. So there is speaker, then there is battery, then there is display or the screen, then there is the circuit and motherboards, right? So if you understand what are the core components of manufacturing a mobile, then first of all, you need to understand that what are all the things you are going to manufacture in-house and what are all the things you are going to outsource. This is also very important. This terminology probably you have heard for the first time. What is outsourcing now? Outsourcing is something that you want to give up a small component of the overall operation to somebody else, to somebody third party who has technical expertise in developing that particular component and who will do it for you at a lesser cost because you don't have a technical expertise of doing it. For an example, we all are aware of iPhones, right? We all love iPhones. But do you know in iPhones, the screen that is there, it is actually manufactured by Samsung. Because if Apple need to start manufacturing their screens today, Apple is one of the largest brands in the world in terms of electronics, right? But if they need to start manufacturing their screens today, they need to invest heavily on their research and development, and that will take years of time in order to develop proper resolution of screen. Now we are talking about screen resolutions of we talk about, previously it was LCD screens, liquid crystal display. Now we are talking about LEDs, right? Mobile phone screens are also becoming LEDs these days. AMOLED display, I don't know how many different kind of LEDs are there, to be very honest, in market, but mobile phone screens are also becoming LED. So now if Apple need to start manufacturing their own LED screens, what will happen? They need to heavily invest on their R&D part. So that will be consumption of money, consumption of resources, consumption of time, right? So that is something is called non-tangential cost. Definitely the outcome will come after a certain point in time. Let's say after 5 years, 6 years, probably Apple will develop a screen which will be on par in terms of quality with Samsung. But Samsung had already done this R&D years ago. And that is how they have developed this better resolution screen qualities. And now because already Samsung is having the technical expertise, Apple is buying that thing from them, and they are actually incorporating that screen into their devices. So this is called outsourcing. For an example, cameras. In terms of cameras, again, the camera lenses. Samsung is known for manufacturing the best camera lenses across all the telecommunication devices. So generally, most of the, including Apple, of course. So this Xiaomi, MI, Oppo, Vivo, whatever the other brands you're talking about, all of them, they use the camera sensors produced by Samsung. If you talk about the speakers are another very important or crucial component, right? If you talk about the speakers, mobile phone speakers are largely manufactured by Sony. And majority of the other brands, they actually procure their speakers from Sony and they incorporate into their device. So basically the motherboard circuit, that is what these device manufacturers, they built it in-house. That means when you are manufacturing a mobile phone, you are subletting few of the components to other existing players who has technical expertise in manufacturing those components. You are buying it from them and you are manufacturing some certain components within your premises, and then you are integrating everything. This is the art of producing successfully executing any project. That means a company, irrespective of its business numbers, irrespective of its reputation, it cannot do 100% of the projects on its own. Okay, because first of all, the first and foremost thing, expertise cannot be available across all the domains with anybody specific. Second thing is there are multiple millions of micro components in any project. You cannot master all these micro components. Somebody else might have done it. So you can borrow their existing expertise, okay, which is more economically viable for any project. The third thing is, whenever you're doing any project planning, it needs to be economic. So from economic perspective and from time perspective, this is very, very important. Rather than trying to develop everything on your own, better try to borrow the expertise. That will save your money, that will save your time. For an example, in civil, there's a company called Lanson and Turbo. We colloquially know, we know it as L&T, right? L&T is known for constructing massive structures in railways, in road infrastructures, in any kind of building construction. So L&T, for an example, Hyderabad Metro. Hyderabad Metro is constructed by Lanson and Turbo, right? But do you think Lanson and Turbo, they have been engaged into constructing each and individual component of Hyderabad Metro? The answer is Very straightforward, no. Because there are millions of small micro components which is involved into this construction of Hyderabad Metro. So if I try to understand how this metro project came into life, so there are different components. There is a component of civil engineering, there's a component of electrical engineering, there is a component of mechanical engineering, there's a component of ECE, there's a component of IT and CS. So now if I try to give you example of all these things, let's start with civil first. So first and foremost thing is we have to lay the civil foundation for running the railway coaches, right? This metro railway coaches, they need to run on railway track, right? For that, the metro generally runs either underground or through top of the overbridge, right? So any kind of thing in either of the cases, you need civil construction. So for that, structural design is very, very important, because metro, it has its own load, which is called the dead load, which is the load of the mechanical and electrical components. Then there will be human being traveling through the metro. That is called the live load. So that is floating load, right? More people will come in. Some people will go out at some of the station. They will deboard at some stations. Few more people will board in some of the stations. So you need to calculate based on the overall area available in the metro, how much of live load is going to come in, how much of maximum live load is going to come in, and how much actually should be the load bearing capacity of my overbridge that I'm constructing. So that is the the foremost duty of the structural engineering team who was actually engaged into this operation, which was engaged into this operation. So for that, studying the the safe bearing capacity of the soil, that was very, very important. When you start constructing anything, before that you need to understand first of all whether the soil can bear this kind of load or not. So for that, geotechnical engineering will come into the picture. So geotechnical engineering team, they will do a test called safe bearing capacity test. Okay, with the help of this safe bearing capacity test, they will say whether the soil that is there underneath, whether it can take up the load that is going to be incurred by the metro or not. Once that is actually understood, then there are certain engineering methods. If the soil is not providing you the adequate quantity of safe bearing capacity, you can enhance it. You can enhance it with the help of pile foundation, wrap foundation, mat foundation. These are the kind of different foundation that you can opt for when the soil does not have the required capacity of safe bearing required amount of safe bearing capacity. So you can actually tackle the problem with the help of structural engineering. Okay, moving forward, once the structural design is ready, the soil is also having safe bearing capacity, structural design is ready. Now the third thing will come into the picture is laying the railway tracks. For that, railway track needs to be constructed. So we need to do core cutting with the help of laser. Then mechanical engineering will come into the picture, right? Once the railway tracks are laid off, what we need to do is the metro runs on electricity. So we need to we need to do the electrification part. We need to take care of the electrification part, right? So there the electronics engineering will come into the picture. Now, once the metro railway track is ready, electrification is done. Now it's the time to construct the metro. In order to construct the metro rail, in order to construct the bogies, what you need? You need the intervention of your electrical and communication engineering, because electrical supplies need to be ensured throughout the bogies. Air conditioning system needs to be ensured throughout all the bogies. You need to ensure lighting throughout all the bogies, right? Braking system needs to be ensured. For that, mechanical engineering needs to be there. And then for designing the aesthetic part of it, designing the agronomics of the bogies, right? At what height the handrails should be there, where exactly I need to place my hand holding rails, at what position my seats needs to be laid off, what should be the ideal dimension of the seats, what should be the ideal width of the seats. So there architect will come into the picture, right? So architectural engineering also got into the picture now. So constructing the metro is one of, they're almost, that is something like interdisciplinary, where all the different stream people, they will come into the picture and they will start working on it, right? Once that is done, once your metro is ready, metro needs to communicate, the driver in the metro, he or she needs to communicate with the command control center. That means at what speed the metro is supposed to operate, if there is any hindrance, where to stop, right? So in order to do so, a robust communication system needs to be developed, which will not fail at all, right? So for that, electronic and communication engineering will come into the picture, computer science will come into the picture, IT will come into the picture, because this will all happen through a software interface, right? Recently, if you, as because I've been talking about Hyderabad Metro, back in 2020, they have conducted a trial run where they have operated the metro across two different stations, which were, located at a span of 7 kilometers. They have operated the metro without intervention of any driver. So that means with the help of artificial intelligence, they have actually operated the metro. So that had tackled the air conditioning, that had tackled the, the braking system, that had tackled where the metro is supposed to stop, because the doors needs to be opened automatically, right? So the doors, there are places marked where the metro is supposed to come and stop and where the door is supposed to be opened. So that also needs to be, imagined by the artificial intelligence system through AI infrared cameras. So all these things, when all of them they integrate, the outcome is successful operation of the metro project. Now, if you remember, initially I talked about, it is very important to think about the circularity and the carbon footprint. So you have reduced your carbon footprint by operating the metro with the help of electrical energy, which is a non-emission causing energy, right? But where exactly the electricity is coming from, that is very, very important, because if you are using coal energy, coal is a fossil fuel which is again non-renewable in nature, and when you burn coal, huge amount of sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, particulate matter, all this thing gets generated and they get emitted into the open atmosphere. So when you are using electricity but at a cost of burning coal, automatically your overall energy consumption is not sustainable at all. So in order to make it more sustainable, more greener in nature, what Hyderabad Metro has covered, they have covered up the partially they have covered up the tracks with the help of solar rooftops. Okay, the solar panels, and then all the rooftop of the existing platforms they have covered up with solar panels. That's how they have actually replaced 1/3 of their electricity consumption with the help of electricity that is produced by the solar panels. So that is how they have made their energy consumption more greener, more sustainable in nature. So there again, electrical engineering came into the picture, because solar panel, it was built by somebody, right? This all chips and components, and installation, for installation again you need engineers who are trained in it. So whenever any project comes into shape, it is the overall integrated effort from all the engineering discipline, including AI, computer science, electrical engineering, ECE, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, geotechnical engineering, everything put together. When all the components of a project, it moves parallel to each other, then only the vehicle moves forward. Okay, so the example that is presented in front of you right now, probably I'll take more than 1 hour, a little more than 1 hour, because I won't be able to conclude all these things, and I don't want to leave anything unturned. At least some sort of basic understanding I want to give you guys, so that some sort of productive thinking can be developed within you guys. So now you understood, before getting into any project, we need to do micro planning. This is very, very evident and clear to you guys, if I'm not wrong. And how exactly that understanding can be developed? By reading more and more about this requirement of the particular project, and that will develop your technical expertise. For that, for the reading component, you have information available across books, across web interfaces, across AI platforms. Once you start reading more and more, automatically you will develop a deep understanding of things. And once you develop deep understanding, you will start connecting the dots. This is what we have discussed till now, right? So now, before getting into the technical aspect, the commercial aspect of project planning, which I haven't talked of so far, that is very, very important. First of all, you need to understand the economic feasibility of the overall project from an industry perspective. I'll get back to academic perspective once again, because you all are students. I want to give you an academic perspective in parallel to the industry perspective. But first of all, let's talk about the industry perspective. So every industry is present here in order to do business. And once they need to do business, it needs to be economically profitable. In order to run a business economically profitable, what they need to do is a thorough project planning of profit and loss statement. What is a profit and loss statement? Profit and loss statement is something that how much of money you are investing within how much of span, and then how much is your return within how much of span. That is very crucial, because when you're dealing for any government project, for an example, this metro project, that's a massive project, right? When you're talking about any massive project, those are mostly government projects. And when you are handling government projects, there is a component of delay that you need to very clearly understand. Delay in the sense of payments, because once you raise the bill, once you raise the invoice to government also has certain level of scrutiny, because once you raise the invoice, government has to ensure the quality, because this is people's money, this is public's money, right? We are paying tax, and from that actually government is earning their revenue, and government is further investing their revenue in order to develop this public infrastructure. So automatically this is our money, and government needs to ensure that the work that is done, that is of utmost quality, that is of required or desired quality. How they will ensure that? So for that system, there is something called RFP. RFP stands for request for proposal. So whenever any government project comes in, government releases a document called RFP, request for proposal. So this request for proposal, who will develop it? The person or the agency who will develop this request for proposal are the technical expert of that subject matter or that particular domain. So for that, again, before going into RFP of any project, government will call up for a tender for this RFP preparation. They will hire an agency, a third-party agency, who has the technical expertise. For an example, this metro construction. So for metro construction, we need to first of all, before releasing the metro tender, who will do the metro tender, before that, government needs to prepare what is the guideline for pursuing the tender. So this guideline is called RFP, request for proposal. So in that request for proposal, this is something like, the 300, 400 pages document, which will give you the core idea of this overall project in terms of timeline, in terms of the technical requirement, in terms of the financials. So government needs to hire somebody who can prepare it for government. So for that also, first of all, they will call up a tender. Once the tender is fulfilled, once this agency is hired, then the government will actually release this RFP into this open forum, is called e-tendering platform, electronic tendering platform. Once this under this electronic tendering platform, once this is released, once this becomes public document, then anybody and everybody who has eligibility, there are two different kind of eligibilities. One is called technical eligibility. The second one is called the financial eligibility. Financial eligibility, in the sense, there are certain parameters. First of all, the turnover of the company. How much is the turnover that you're making? Second thing is, what is your net worth? What is the net worth of the company? Third thing is, what is the credit limit available with the company? Fourth thing is, what is your liquidity of the company? So government will take all this information. Before you participate in any tender, you have to upload all this information while participating in the tender. So government will see whether you are financially eligible to do this project or not. Once the financial eligibility is satisfied, government will see whether you are technically eligible to take part in this tender or not. For an example, metro construction project. In metro construction project, they will see what they will look for. Definitely, they will see if you have constructed metro previously somewhere else. If not exactly similar, let's say for the first time the metro is going to be constructed in India, automatically then nobody will have the technical expertise. So then they will see what is the most close by project. Most close by in the sense, let's say the construction of the flyovers, because it is of similar nature, right? Because construction of flyover, it also has the geotechnical properties examination, and then examination of the structural components, examination of the construction management components. So that is the most close by nature of project, right? So government will see if you have expertise existing in the same project or similar kind of project. If it is there, in that case, what is the scale? Let's say if I'm talking about a waste management project here, it's a project of, let's say 1 lakh ton. 1 lakh ton of legacy waste needs to be treated. Or let's say, if I try to give you a more simpler example, whatever the city you are staying in, your city must be having a waste management and sanitation plan, right? So whatever the waste you are generating from your household, the municipal solid waste, the waste that you are disposing of every morning with the waste collection people, right? The sanitary workers. So they take it somewhere, right? They take it somewhere and then they treat it. They cannot just like that dump it, because that is against the government policy, that is against the regulatory policies and norms. So they have to treat it, they have to facilitate recycling and resource recovery from it. And then the component that cannot be recycled, that has to be disposed of into landfills. So this is how the overall conception works. So now let's say if you're living in a town where the waste generation is 2000 tons per day, from your entire town, from all the households, the cumulative waste generation is 2000 tons per day. So automatically government has released a tender of constructing 2000 tons per day municipal solid waste processing and disposal facility. So they will look into the technical expertise, in the sense at least somebody who has done similar kind of project with 80% of this particular project capacity. So now this is how much? 200 tons, 2000 tons per day. So 80% of it is 1600 tons per day. So 1600 tons per day, if you are having experience previously constructing the plant of municipal solid waste processing and disposal facility somewhere else, then you are technically eligible to participate in this tender. You are technically eligible to bid this tender. And then after that, what will come into the picture? Your economic feasibility. So economic feasibility, already I told you, your turnover. So company will see whether, even if you're technically qualifying, whether you have the financial eligibility to fund this project. For an example, for constructing this 2000 tons per day municipal solid waste processing and disposal facility, you require to invest, let's say, somewhere close to 200 crores. So if you have this 200 crores in your bank account or not, if you don't have, in that case, what is the alternate option? The alternate option is the credit limit. The credit limit, in the sense how much bank will give you in terms of credit. Recently, one case came in public eyes where Adani Group, they have been audited and scrutinized, that they have taken too much of debt. They have taken too much of debt from State Bank of India. That is nothing but because they had a credit limit with State Bank of India. They have borrowed money for executing this project. And once this project gets completed off, they will get back their money from government, and then they will repay back bank's loan with interest. That is what is called credit limit. But what happened? This credit limit is provided against another term called net worth. Net worth in the sense, or liquidity in the sense, let's say the company, they have some assets, they own some assets. Let's say you have already made some project of similar nature. Let's say L&T has constructed this Hyderabad Metro Rail. So this is one of their assets. They have their own office, which is constructed over, let's say 200 acres of area with superstructure of 20-storied building. So that is again another asset. They have, let's say, a thermal power station. They have water, water treatment facilities. They have wastewater treatment facilities. So all these different kind of projects owned by a company, they are nothing but their assets. Whatever the capital investment you have made is your capex asset, right? So asset in the sense that will actually be depicted in your net worth. Let's say, even in the form of, these days they say that, net worth of film stars, net worth of cricketers, individual persons, right? So net worth, how they calculate it, whatever the properties you own, in the sense, in terms of gold, in terms of buildings, in terms of open plots and all these things put together, in terms of investment in share, investment in any kind of equity of any company. So this all put together becomes your net worth. Same is the case for any company. So against your net worth, bank gives you the loan. So in case of Adani Group, what happened? Their net worth, it was highlighted that their net worth is almost equivalent to the loan that they have borrowed. That is equivalent to their credit facility, which is unfair. But in actuality, their net worth, because they have a lot of ports, they have a lot of airports put together, if you take their net worth, that is more than actually the amount of loan that they have borrowed. And all of their projects, the forecast of the project that they have, those are like more than 20 years of contract. So if you add up all these values put together, that's how they calculate the overall revenue of the project. Revenue in the sense, how much of money you're going to make from a project. Let's say the solid waste management project I have been discussing about, right? 2000 tons per day. The contract period is of 20 years. And government will pay you certain amount of fee, which is called tipping fee. So that means government is bringing in 2000 tons of waste every day to your premises, and you're treating it for government. So government needs to pay you certain sort of money for it, right? So that money, what is that? That is nothing but your revenue. So from that revenue, again, certain amount of money you have to invest for the operation part. Remaining whatever is left out, that is your profit. So this is called profit and loss statement. And initially you have to invest in the capital expenditure part. So again, you have to compensate that capital expenditure from the tipping fee that you're earning. So we all are aware of Shark Tank India, right? So we have seen Shark Tank India, and that was quite interesting, both the seasons, right? So they are the founder. You have seen the judges, they were talking with the, this pictures with them. They have been talking about the equity share. They have been talking about what is the capex, what is the opex, what is the profit and loss statement, what is the revenue, what is the net revenue, what is the gross revenue, what is the EBITDA. So all these things, they are very important in terms of profit and loss statement. So now if you see this Gantt chart, I have talked about what are the concluded activities. So I have divided the entire project into multiple activities, which are nothing but the objectives of the project. So here you can see, first of all, the concluded activities. So the concluded activity, does it include? Received the letter of award. That means the government has given me the letter of award. That means the project is finalized with me. Now I am the concessionaire of the project. Then the second thing is, once the project is awarded, what you need to do is you need to submit some sort of guarantee to the government that if you fail to execute that project, then government will deduct government will have some certain kind of guarantee that they will forfeit this amount if you can't do this project in a satisfactory manner. So like for an example, if you borrow a bank loan for purchasing one house, so bank will take your house papers in mortgage, right? So if you can't repay the loan, bank will take your property. Similar here as well, we need to provide a performance bank guarantee to government, which is something like 3 to 5% of the overall project value, and government will keep that amount from you and they will keep it safe. So if you fail in terms of executing the project, in that case they will forfeit that amount, because you have already wasted enough amount of time of government, you have already wasted enough amount of public money, so they need to forfeit it. They need to recover that money from somewhere. Then once this is done, you actually go for signing the agreement, and this agreement is called concession agreement. After this concession agreement is signed, what you start doing is you start managing your project in terms of project planning. So you can see all different kind of plannings are there, and these are all time bound activities. You can see on a certain month, I have actually included that within the certain phase of time, I have to conclude each of these activities. Okay, and this concluding upcoming activities, they will actually go till the end of the project. So now once you keep on finishing each of these activities, what will happen? These upcoming activities keep on getting added into concluding activities, and your months will move forward. So now if you see, this is getting started from July, August, September, October. So like that way, the time is moving on automatically. Once the time moves, your activity is also supposed to get finished, right? So this particular chart is called Gantt chart. Gantt chart will give you the overall idea against the timeline, against the objective. So for executing any project, this Gantt chart is very, very important. So now if I try to correlate this Gantt chart with your academic projects, so in terms of academic project, I can give you an example. First and foremost thing for the final year students, this is very important. Okay, before getting into any dissertation work, what you need to do is literature survey. Always your guides, they will tell you, first you go and do the literature survey. So first literature survey will give you the overall idea of, it will give you the idea for coining the objectives, for coining the title, right? So once you do the literature review on a certain domain, it could be CS, it could be EC, it could be civil engineering, it will help you to understand the overall perspective and narrow down to understand the problems. So problems in the sense, whenever you are fabricating any academic projects, you work on a particular problem. Let's say for an example, sludge management. Sludge management is a classic example. India is the third largest organic sludge producer in the entire world. Okay. So this organic sludge, what will happen to it? This is organic in nature, right? It will degrade on its own if it is in environment. But if we keep it as such, what will happen? It will cause environmental nuisances. It will generate foul odor. It will emit foul odor, right? It will promote vector nuisance. All these flies, mosquitoes, they will start breeding on it. It will actually encourage the rodent nuisance. So these rats and other things, they will start breeding around it. So automatically, that is something, a contaminated environmental scenario. So you cannot leave it just like that. organic sludge without treatment, right? So you have to treat it. So in order to treat it, what are the options available in India? You need to see, you need across, let's say, what are the options available across the globe? So once you start reading it, once you start doing the literature survey, you will understand that these are the technologies available in order to handle the organic sludge. Once you understand that, every technology, they comes with their own benefits and demerits. Any technology cannot be 100% foolproof. Any technology cannot be 100% which comes with demerits. Okay. Now, in order to understand that, you need to start developing a deeper understanding of every technology in order to understand what is its technical viability, what is its financial viability. Once you start doing that exercise, you will understand which technology is superior most and which technology is inferior among all the technologies that is available for sludge management. If I try to give you an example, organic sludge can be handled with the help of co-composting. Sampada madam has raised her hand. Ma'am.
Yeah, Atun, so since it's already 8 p.m., may I request you to then wrap up the session in the next 5 minutes and maybe just focus on what is a Gantt chart and what are the main elements of a Gantt chart, so that the students can relate the aspect of Gantt chart with the projects that they do in their academics. So the academic project could be your focus and how to create a Gantt chart. But could you do that in the next 5 minutes, please? Some students have sessions after this, so they're starting to drop off.
Oh, certainly. I was not aware that they have another session after this.
Some of them have, yeah.
Okay. So here, if I try to give you a classic example of Gantt chart preparing for your project planning, first and foremost thing is literature review. Okay, that will give you the broader understanding of how exactly to identify a problem. Once you start reading more and more, that will give you the overall idea about the subject, and then you will understand the loophole, the knowledge gap existing or pertaining into the subject matter. And then according to that, you will coin your title. In order to achieve that title, what you will do, you will coin objectives. So let's say organic sludge treatment is your title. Or in order to treat the organic sludge, what could be the objective? First, stabilize the sludge. Second, eliminate the foul odor. Third, convert it into useful byproducts. So these are your objectives. So now in order to achieve your objectives, you need to do some sort of research and experimentation. So first and foremost thing is characterizing the waste. So you have to characterize the waste. So for that, you need to bring the waste into organic sludge waste into the lab, and you have to characterize it in and out, and you need to identify what are the problems with the organic sludge. There are certain parameters. Based on those parameters, you will identify that these are the problems with the organic sludge. So once your experimentation is done, what you will understand, how to improve that characteristic, what are the problems are there, how to troubleshoot that problem. For troubleshooting, once again, you will start developing the solution. And then once the solution is developed, what you will do trial run and testing of the solution with the help of organic sludge once again. Once the trial run and testing is over, what you will do, you will try to go for scaling up. You will try to go for scaling up of the thing, that if it is working in the lab scale, whether it will work in the field scale or not. Once the scaling up is done, you go for protecting your idea with the help of intellectual property rights in the form of IP or patenting, and then you commercialize it for the benefits of the others, right? And then you also make some certain amount of money from it. That is an added benefit for everybody. So now coming into project planning once again, this organic sludge project we have been talking about, the first and foremost thing in the form of Gantt chart, what you need to do is final year project itself, let's say 1 year. So during the first semester of 1 year, you would be having parallel theory subjects. So let's say you can allocate some certain, restricted amount of time towards the project. During the next semester, you would be having lesser number of academic subjects, and you can devote more amount of time towards it. So you need to understand the time distribution in Gantt chart. So during the first 4 months, it's supposed to be more of literature review, more of data collection from the online repositories, from the books, and coining your title and coining your objectives. The next 6 months, it should be more focused towards collecting the samples, performing the experiments. Then once the experiments are performed, you have to re-verify. So that is called re-verifying the outcome with the help of duplicate and triplicate analysis. So that is also very, very important to assure whatever you have achieved during the first stage of experimentation, that is firm and that is reliable. So once you do this duplicate and triplicate validation, cross-validation, then you go for the documentation. In documentation, what you do is, whatever the data you have obtained during this experimental phase, you put it in the form of a Word document, Excel sheets, and all these things. And then you produce a dissertation, you produce a thesis, which is the ultimate outcome. Again, that thesis can be published in the form of a paper, a research paper, or you can, if you have actually come across something which is very, very novel, which has not been discovered by anybody till date, so then in that case you end up filing a patent, you end up getting a intellectual property right of it. Okay, so that's how the overall Gantt chart and this thing works. So this is something like a very vast ocean. If you ask me to explain this particular Gantt chart, I can explain it to you for hours. And then similarly, if you see, just like that, I have like some 4 or 5 files. Only 4 files are here. In each of these 4 files, again, there are subfiles. There is a file for EHS. There's a file for operation summary. Again, there's a profit and loss statement, if you see. So each of these things, they will take its own sweet amount of time in order to discuss. So probably if somebody is more interested in order to understand these things in details, so probably we can have a separate session on that. But right now, the clock is ticking and I need to finish my session right away and right here. So I'm open to the forum for any questions and queries. Please feel free to ask. I'll stop sharing my screen with this.
Thank you, Atul. That was informative, full of information and knowledge session, if I could say that. The examples that you took of Hyderabad Metro, that was a perfect example of a multidisciplinary project done at a grand scale, done to impact people.
Achha, somebody has asked, sorry for the interruption, ma'am. Somebody has asked, what is ULB? ULB is nothing but urban local body. Okay. In colloquial term, we call it the municipality, the municipal authority of your town or city.
Yep. So, students, questions?
You can unmute yourself. Probably that would be a better solution. One by one, you can unmute yourself and you can ask question. Otherwise, reading this, chat folder is very difficult for me.
Yeah. Feel free to unmute and speak. In case you're not able to unmute, then you can type. Yeah, Tilak is asking to do project. Primary thing is to know the respective subject. Should we know it in a basic way or in standard way? If anyone is your answer, then how much level should we be knowing it?
Okay, to be very honest, if you're writing an assignment, so basic understanding is more than good enough. If you're going for a final year thesis work, in that case, you have to develop some more advanced understanding because you need to prepare dissertation, you need to do experiment. And trust me, at the very beginning, it is something like dabba goal kind of thing. You won't be able to figure out anything. Beginning is the hardest. Once you start, you won't be having any idea how to proceed about it, how to coin your title, how to coin your objectives. But once you start reading more and more about it, you will understand the knowledge gap. Some sort of basic understanding you will develop by reading. And once you start experimenting, once you start getting knowledge from your mentors and other people who are guiding you, you will start getting more and more idea and you will start getting polished in the subject matter. It could be anything. For EC people, it could be developing a mobile phone. If I ask you to develop a mobile phone right away, right now, to final year student, you can't do it. That's something a gigantic ask for you because you haven't done it. But if you start learning about it more and more in details, you can start manufacturing your own mobile devices down the line 1 or 2 years. So before that, you have to develop the basic understanding. You need to understand what are the components involved, and then you have to start integrating things. Then only the overall device will be ready. So it depends on what is the outcome that you are desiring. What is the level of outcome? What is the level at which you are working with? For assignment writing, basic understanding is more than good enough. For dissertation work, some sort of advanced understanding is required. For executing a project at industry level, you need to have a very high level of vast and what should I say? It's like expert kind of understanding is required. So for that, they form a team in industries. It's not like individually you are executing any project. So once you're a fresher, you'd be put in a team. So under the group leader, you would be start working on a certain particular or a certain objective, which is a very micro objective of the overall project. Let's say this Hyderabad metro project, once again the same example. So if you're a structural engineer, they will not ask you right away that you do the structural design of the Hyderabad metro, the superstructure that is required. So they will give you a small component. They will ask, let's say that entire structural engineering team, some 200 structural engineers will be working in that, of which they will ask you, you do the bending moment calculation, and from that you give me what is the amount of shape bearing capacity required for the soil. So that's a very micro component of the overall metro project. So that's how you progress in life. So once you start working on anything, you start learning more and more about it, and once you have the overall full gamut of idea, then you start leading a team of your own. So that time you become a technical expert. So this depends, the level of expertise depends at what scale you are actually handling the project. If your student project gets failed, nobody will get harmed out of it. But if a metro project gets failed, there are millions of lives involved into it. Your calculation needs to be foolproof. It needs to be top notch. If you're manufacturing an aircraft, there is zero margin for error. You cannot have any error margin. Whereas in your project, if you fail in achieving, if you fail in achieving a certain objective, we can see what are the other alternate ways. So the understanding depends on what is the scale you're operating, what is the kind of precision is required, what is the level of outcome is required. Based on that, we actually develop the what should I say? We fix up the level of expertise that is required.
There's another question. Can you give us the key points to ensure that we can make a right Gantt chart?
Okay. So for preparing a right Gantt chart, the fundamental idea is, first, you should be very clear about your objectives. Objectives in the sense, there would be 3 to 4 objectives, as I told earlier. You have to subdivide your objectives into further micro objectives. So let's say if I need to construct a building, there are 4 objectives. One is buying raw material. Second is engaging the manpower. Third is getting the design ready. Fourth is executing the project on site. But if you subdivide this thing, there are millions of sub-objectives under it, starting from the quality control, assurance, designing, environment, health and safety, everything they have their sub-objectives. So once you become subject area expert, you will start understanding what are the micro objectives. And for preparing Gantt chart, you have to start from initially monthly basis, that the first month, let's say for your BTech project, you want to, let's say you want to develop an alternate concrete material, concrete manufacturing material, where you want to replace the sand with the help of some organic sludge. So first of all, for that, you need to understand what is the property of the organic sludge and what are the treatment required in order to stabilize the organic sludge. So first of all, you have to treat and stabilize the organic sludge where it can be used as an alternate to sand. And once it is actually ready to be used as a replacement, then you need to understand how much percentage of sand it can replace without affecting the overall concrete property. Now, if I talk about concrete property, you need to understand what are the parameters for ascertaining the concrete property. Compressive strength is there, soundness is there. Then you need to understand what is the water absorption, what is the freezing, thawing, all these properties are there. So you need to understand how exactly the concrete is evaluated, how exactly to assess the quality of the sludge, how exactly to stabilize it, what are all the parameters to overcome, and what are the parameters to stabilize, how much percentage of sand can be replaced. So once you develop this overall idea, then you can start preparing the micro objectives. Before that, what you can do is, first and foremost thing is do literature survey. For that, you keep a month. First of all, you talk about in terms of months. Let's say you have 10 months. So first month for literature survey, second month for coining your title and objective, third month for starting the experimentation, sample collection, starting the experimentation, third and fourth month. Then fifth and sixth month, once again, revalidating the experimental outcomes. Then sixth and seventh month, you can do this. You can start with the writing part. And then once the writing is over, you can actually submit the primary draft of your thesis or your paper to your guide. Then they will ask you for some changes. Further experimentation also might be asked. Then you will do all those kind of troubleshooting on the 8th and 9th month. And the 10th month is only for publication or submission of the final dissertation work. So first you divide the overall objective into only months. Once you start working in it, once you start developing more and more detailed idea about it, you will yourself, you will start subdividing the objective into micro objective, and these months will become like weeks, and from weeks it will become like days. You will yourself, you will start doing it, trust me. Nobody needs to intervene. Even at a point in time, what you will do, you will start developing an idea, you will start developing such in-depth knowledge about this particular subject matter regarding your project or something like that, that you will become a master, where you will be more knowledgeable in this subject when compared to your professors. Because professors, they will be having the idea about the overall gamut, right? If I talk about civil engineering has subsequent multiple core, multiple segments, like environmental engineering is there, structural engineering is there, disaster management is there, construction management is there, earthquake management is a part of it. So now if you talk about environmental engineering, probably a civil engineering professor, he might not be an expert in environmental engineering, he might have expertise in structural engineering. But if your project is on an environmental engineering, again under environmental engineering, multiple subdomains, solid waste management is there, air quality engineering is there, water and wastewater treatment is there. So of all these subdomains, you will pick up a certain particular domain. Let's say you are working on organic sludge management, which is a part of wastewater engineering. Again, from that organic sludge management, you will pick up a further very precise and niche area of problem. So your professor might not be having idea about such niche area. He might be having idea of the overall gamut, but you will become a master of this particular niche area, where your understanding would be the superior most, supreme most. So that will happen over the period of time when you start exploring more, when you start reading more and more. That is how the overall things work. And then you can micronize your objectives into micro objectives, and you can micronize your month schedule, month Gantt chart that is based on the month schedule. You can micronize further it to weeks and days. That's how it works. So, madam, you talked about no project submission is required. So I would like to give you one small assignment so that everybody would be, feel engaged. So you take up a problem, a single problem, and prepare a Gantt chart for that. That is what the kind of exercise I want to give it to the students. You take up a problem from your own domain. It could be civil, it could be EC, it could be CSE, irrespective of any stream. You pick up the problem that you find fascinating. You find this problem, okay, so this question that was something unanswered in your mind, you've been thinking since your admission in engineering days, that this is something which is, I don't know how exactly is it happening. You take up that as a challenge. Based on that, you coin your title, you fabricate your objectives, and you prepare a Gantt chart of 1 month, only a month, and you divide that into subsequent days. It could be like 4 weeks, and each week can be divided into 7 days. And from that 7 days, you can write down, you can actually ping 1 day for one particular activity. So how many activities you need to have? They will be further, plotted down into throughout the rows, and your timeline will actually move across the columns. So you have to plot your objectives alongside the timeline. So this is your task for the day. You have to prepare a Gantt chart. The overall timeline for the Gantt chart is going to be 1 month. You have to subdivide 1 month into weeks, weeks into days, and you have to coin your title, you have to coin your objectives, you have to divide your objectives into sub objectives. And probably from this, second year and third year students, you will develop an idea of what you want to do as your final year undergraduate project.
So in fact, they have to anyway do this, because we are doing these boot camp sessions, and next Saturday they're going to be introduced to the 5 sectors, out of which they have to pick up one of the sector for the problem statement. And then this they have to plan, and then they have to come back and execute it, and then it will lead to ISF sessions. So yes, the projects are out there for you. The next few sessions will open up the various project ideas. You will pick up one of those. You will develop the project plan. In November, in fact, you are supposed to be giving back the project plan as advised by Atul. Because by that time you would have seen the whole aspect of the project. You would have understood the objective of the project. You have gone deep into the problem statement, etc., etc. So you should be in a position to create a monthly Gantt chart plan by end of November, because you have enough weeks in between now and then. So do that. Come back to us next Saturday. Take note of what you have heard today. If you have questions, if there is something that you've not understood today, do let us know through WhatsApp group. Atun is very much here. Atun is going to be with us throughout the next 3 months up till ISF and beyond. So Atun is a available mentor to help you, assist you in anything that may not have been covered today. And we are happy to help you further on making a good project plan.
Achha, somebody, this is the last question probably I'm taking. I won't take more than 2 minutes on this. Somebody has asked, Nandan, so can you give us the key points to ensure that we can make a right Gantt chart? For making right Gantt chart, as I told you earlier, the fundamental idea is first you divide into months, subdivide into weeks, and then days. Understand the subject matter in a more deeper way so that you can develop the micro objectives as well. Alongside your core 3 and 4 objectives, you can further understand what are the sub activities, and based on those sub activities, you can formulate your micro objectives. And based on these micro objectives, you need to understand what are the operations or activities which are interconnected to each other, right? Which can be parallelly pursued, because time management is a it's a very crucial component of the overall success of the project. Okay, because projects are time bound. Majority of the projects are time bound. Even for your BTech thesis work, you will be given a span of 6 months. Within that, you have to do your literature survey, you have to coin your title, objective, experimentation, thesis work, everything. So for that, time management is very crucial. So if I try to give you an example, literature survey, it is something that should not be stopped, because learning is a never-ending process. So more you read, more you develop understanding about it, probably that will help you to fine-tune your objectives during the due course of the project work. Once you start doing the experimentation, what will happen? You can parallelly start writing as well, because every day whenever you are doing experimentation, data will be generated. If you keep on recording the data and start writing the interpretation of it, start writing the justification of it, then what will happen? It will not be overburdened towards the end of the project where you need to finish up all the writings at a shot. So automatically, once you try to finish up all the writing at a shot, what will happen? Everything will get hampered. You will start to do hanky panky and somehow finish it up. So the outcome of the quality, the quality of the outcome will be something inferior. In order to avoid that, whenever you are actually experimenting on anything, whatever the experimental results you're getting, you need to do literature survey in order to understand whatever the results I got, whether this is in line with the existing values, those are reported in the existing literature or not, in the existing articles or not. If I'm producing a concrete cube, the compressive strength achieved by the concrete cube, whether this is on par with the BIS standards or not. Okay, if it is on par, in that case, what are the factors that has helped me to achieve that on par strength? Because you have already partially replaced the sand quantity with the help of organic sludge. That is what we have discussed, right? But still the compressive strength is non-disturbed. So what exactly was the component that has helped me to achieve that certain level or standard of compressive strength? If it is not achieved, then what are the points which actually affected the compressive strength? And in that case, once you start reading more and more, you will start developing the interpretation. Once you develop the interpretation, that is nothing but the writing your thesis. So this all things can move parallel. So identifying interconnected activities and parallelly pursuing them is the core component of making a Gantt chart, which will ensure your success in long run, where you will finish the project in a timely manner. And you can avoid, and if you talk about large scale project, any kind of project for corporate or industries or government projects, you can avoid. These are all projects very highly time bound. If you fail from meeting any timelines, in the case, you are liable for any kind of penalties. Those will be highlighted in the RFP, request for proposal. So by maintaining the timelines, by parallelly pursuing multiple works, efficiently managing your timeline, you can actually avoid this kind of penalties. Avoiding penalties and managing your timeline in an efficient manner is nothing but non-tangential income that you're ensuring for your company. So end of the day, time is money, money is time. That's it. Okay.
Another excellent question. In fact, it will get covered in your next session. That's planned in end of October, right? The risk management. Sri Harsh Kota is asking, what are errors we might do at our first time creating the chart? And
Yeah. So the errors, as I told you, as I explained you during the last answer, that interconnectivity of activities. So this is the most common error that you come across as a student when you start preparing the Gantt chart. Probably you will start writing the activities which are interconnected, but probably in terms of timeline, you cannot thoroughly represent that. When to start, when to end, because I'll share the Gantt chart that I showcased during the meeting so that madam can share it with all of you as an example, and based on that, citing that, you can actually start preparing so that you can understand the interconnectivity of activities. So this is very important. First of all, you might missed out on the activity which is supposed to be there in your bucket list. You might miss out on the activities. That is the first and foremost mistake you can do. If you miss out, if you don't even miss out, second thing is interconnectivity of the timelines, where two things or three things or multiple things can be parallelly pursued. So these are the common mistakes generally people they do, which will actually
let me bring that as an example, interesting example. Let's say Atun's birthday is coming up. Let's do this as an interesting example. Let's say Atun's birthday is coming up and we have to give him a surprise. Okay, so Atun doesn't come to know about the birthday party we're planning for Atun. All right, and all of us here, 130 of us here, are supposed to do this party planning. Okay, and the birthday is of course on the day it comes. You cannot afford to delay. If you get late, then you miss out on the actual birthday, right? So he has to be surprised on his birthday. So you have a deadline in mind. Okay, you have an objective in mind. No, Revant is already wishing you birthday. Happy birthday.
My birthday is in June. Actually, it's already gone.
Anyway, we can imagine. See, this is a hypothetical
probably next year
planning. Yeah, it's a hypothetical project planning we're doing, right? So this birthday party needs to be planned, and there is an end date already known to you. You know the objective of this project, which is celebrating a birthday and keeping it a surprise. And this requires cake, this requires flowers, this requires inviting the right kind of people who Atun would like to see on his birthday. This requires a venue. This requires booking the venue. It might require creating an invitation card, a digital creative, right? So there are multiple things that you need to do to plan this birthday party. And you are a group of 3 people, and you, of course, you need to know the budget. You know, how lavish this birthday party will be. Will you take Atun to a 7-star, 5-star hotel, or will you take him to a roadside dhaba? What kind of expense you want to plan for this birthday party? So there's a finance associated as well, correct? With this budget, then you start identifying the sources of this budget. So basically people pitching in or pooling in money, who pitches in what, how much money you collect, and then you decide the venue, and then you decide what will be the menu in this party that you would like to keep, whether it will be a big meal or a simple meal, what would Atun like to eat, and then the secrecy aspect of it. So how do you really find out what Atun likes, what kind of a cake Atun would like without letting him know about it? How do you do the secret planning behind his back, but at the same time things which he would like, right? All of this is project planning. All of this is project planning that you would like to take up. There are things which you would do in parallel. There are things which can only happen on the last day. For example, picking the cake can only happen on the last day. Picking the flower bouquet can only happen in the last day. But getting the right people to block their calendar to be present should happen earlier. You know, it should happen earlier. But before you do that, you need to know where you would do the party. Before you do that, you need to know what the what the choice of venue would be like. Before you do that, you need to know how much money you are going to spend, right? So there's a before. So this is a sample project plan, which I thought might be interesting to see. You could do this on a Gantt chart. You could actually identify the people who will be involved in the planning, And do this on Gantt chart and see how effectively among the 4 or 5 of you, you manage everything that you need to do for Atun's surprise celebration. I think we need to close now. We've been till 8:30. But I see students really need more sessions.
I genuinely felt that the session is for 2 hours. My planning was accordingly done.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I kept 4 files. If you see that particular folder, I have dropped 4 files. So I want to show all these files to all the students so that I can
need to repeat, I think, because some students have written that they need more discussion on this topic. And it is an important topic. It's an absolutely important topic. We need to maybe plan one more.
And this is coming to them completely out of blue. So I cannot just start, talking about random advanced things to them just like that.
Yeah.
So that requires to develop some basic understanding. Once now they know Gantt chart. Now they know the objectives. Now they know what is the importance of coining a title. So now I can start going into the deeper things of it.
I think I would plan one more session, which will be a continuation of this one, and we'll have the remaining parts or elements of project plan getting covered in that. Students do need that session. It is important for them for the 4 years that they are here.
So somebody has asked, if we don't use Gantt chart, will it affect our project making and us? Certainly, if you don't use a Gantt chart, there is 100% possibility that you might deviating the timeline that is given to you. You might missing out on the objectives, micro objectives that you're supposed to fulfill. Because let's say this birthday party thing, madam has given us an example that, so if you don't prepare a foolproof plan, Gantt chart is nothing but your foolproof plan. So when you start dividing your objective into micro objective, automatically you know what all the components to be addressed, like inviting the guest, buying gifts, ordering a cake. So likewise, there would be many sub objectives. When you bring together all these sub objectives, when you do brainstorming, let's say if you're doing a group project, you might think of some 10 objectives. Your partner might think of another 3 objectives. So when you cumulatively bring all these objectives on the plate, you will get some random 20 to 25 objectives, which is the the overall idea of the executing entire project. So if you don't prepare a Gantt chart, if you don't do the brainstorming, what will happen? You might miss out on certain crucial points which supposed to be incorporated before the ongoing activity which is going on now. For an example, let's say now you have already booked the venue, but you forgot to invite people. So if you haven't invited the people, if they don't know about the date and if their calendar is already booked for some other schedule, some other thing, some other activity, in that case, they might not, or they cannot devote their time towards this particular event. So that means the sequence of happening, this events to take place, that's very important. In which sequence the thing's supposed to take place? What is the hierarchy? What is the time related activity, time bound activity, how they're supposed to take place? That is very important. That's why Gantt chart is important. If you forget to invite the guests, in that case, they cannot come down. Even if you organize a very good party, if the guests are not there, automatically the overall party will be called as a failure. So that is why making a Gantt chart is important. Sticking to the timeline and understanding your objectives, formulating the micro objectives, and formulate them as per the time requirement of the timeline. That is why making the Gantt chart is important, and that ensures your success for any project.
Well, thank you so much, Atun. I think I know the session needs to go on, but in the interest of time, we'll have to close the session. But we are coming back, so none of us is going anywhere. Okay, we are all here.
I would love to see you back again. All of you back again. In NIT Kurukshetra back in 2020 or 21, just before COVID, February 2020. Yeah. So I remember that was the first session I've been handling. I landed up in the morning, early in the morning. It was about 5 a.m. in the morning. And for the entire day, for 8 hours consecutively, I took the session. So I don't like to keep anything unfinished or unturned. So this is how I love to interact with students, love to share my knowledge, love to share, hear about their questions, their ambiguities about the thing, clear it off. So that's how the thing works. And I love doing board work more than PPTs and all. So definitely
we're coming back. We will definitely coming back. We are here. We have not gone anywhere. We are here, students. We are coming back. Okay, we're coming back for you another Saturday. All
For
right.
Gantt chart, is there any specific software not required at your level? You can use only Excel sheet. One single Excel sheet is more than enough. There are tools like Primavera is there, but those are like advanced stuffs. I really don't want to show you and scare you with Primavera. I'll share my screen just a moment. I have prepared one Primavera project plan. I'll show it to you. I just don't want to scare. That's why I didn't show all those things. So this is how a Primavera tool looks like. So this is for a single project, by the way. These are audit photographs, evidence of audit that I performed. So this is how this is only related to the operations. Forget about finance and other things. So I don't want to scare you guys with this. So that's how I didn't show. That's why I didn't show this thing. So tools and all these things, these are pretty advanced. And for timing, you can use only Excel.
Yep. All right. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend. The rest of it. We'll see you again. We are very much connected on the WhatsApp groups. If you have more questions, if you want more information, do write on the WhatsApp group. We'll be happy to bring it to you. As promised, I'll take a sample Gantt chart from Atul and
Can we
circulate
use, madam, they have asked for, can you use AI to create Gantt chart?
it.
So the kind of Gantt chart I've asked you to prepare, AI cannot certainly prepare it. So that's why I knew that you might go to ChatGPT and prepare a Gantt chart. So that is why I told you, you identify a problem that fascinates you. Based on that, you subdivide the objectives, and probably for that you can take help of AI. But AI cannot prepare the Gantt chart for you.
Mind has to be yours, the mastermind, the real mind.
We all see YouTube, right? So in YouTube, there's a very famous channel called Tech Burner. So this Tech Burner guy, once I was seeing a video of that guy. So he was mentioning, you know, I have in-house designers for designing mobile and laptop screens. So they have prepared certain designs. And then I have used AI tools to prepare the similar kind of mobile screens and laptop screens. And then I've compared both the results. So you just think of I myself being not knowing AI, I can prepare such good kind of output in the form of screens. So now if a designer get catch hold of this AI, what kind of beautiful outcome he or she can generate. So AI is a tool that you can master, that can help you to understand and develop, to develop your objective, but it cannot give you the solution end to end. So you need to be a master of your own stream. You can use AI for your help. It can be your intern, but it cannot be your master.
That's true. That's the right word. It can be your intern. Okay, friends, I'll have to let Sridhar go. Thank you, Sridhar, for holding with us. Thank you all for being there with us. We'll come back. And thank you, Atun, for doing this session. Your amount of information that you've shared today, I hope the students remember it, comprehend it well, and bring it back when we meet again. Thank you all. We'll see you next Saturday.